Okay, good evening, learners. Hope you are having a good time. We are back again with another video on December 2025, question number 23. Then, before we go to the video, I would like us to go through our website, how you can access the past papers, and also how you can access the file. With the link in the description box, it will take you to a site looking this way. So I'll minimize the screen first a little bit. So it takes you to a link this way. So by just clicking on the link to our website in the description box, it will bring you to a website looking this way. So you have these two various packages. If you considering joining us, you have online classes at a premium of 7500, and then this is what you get. Then we have the standard package does not come with the standard package does not come with the live Zoom classes. So if I wanted to access the past papers, I'll just click on this link here and click on it. Okay, it is taking time. I think my internet is somehow slow. Okay, if you click on the past papers link, then it brings you to a page looking like this, whereby on this page you can download the theory. You can see theories there. You can also download practical. These are files, and then you can also watch revision videos on that particular city. That is if you are working with the standard package. Well, if you are working with the premium package, then you are going to get the past papers, so all of these ones, plus also you'll be also getting access to classes. If you click here on the classes, if you click on classes, I think it is also loading somehow. Okay, if you click on classes, it also brings you to a page looking this way, whereby we have the course, the full course videos plus files. So you just click on files to download the file, then you click on videos to watch the class videos. So this is covers for the whole syllabus, while the past papers also covers the whole of them. So the link is in the description box. You can click on that link to join us. Meanwhile, so for today we wanted to look at the last city, which is December 2025, question number 23. So the question was testing on pivot tables and also the use of Power Query in Excel. So I'll read through the question. Neptune Manufacturing Limited sells its 5 products: Orion, Nova, Titan, Vega, and Sapphire through different vendors across multiple plants. They recently onboarded an enterprise resource planning system to allow tracking and management of business data. The extracted sales for the financial year 2025 is presented in the sheet named Question 25. All values are in shillings. So if you move down here and follow by my cursor, we have question 23 data. So if you click on it, you can see we have our data this way. So this is the data that we have to work on. This is the data that we have to work on. Then so the question is here, then the data is here next to the question. So I'll go to required directly. So you are required A. Data cleaning and transformation. Part 1 says, which advanced power tool on Microsoft Excel is used for complex data transformation? So the tool here is called Power Query. So we have, if maybe you have subscribed to the standard, if you have subscribed to the premium package, we have a video on Power Query, how to set them up. In this case, we're just working with the question, but from a class perspective, we have a video on Power Query. Then Power Query is used for extract, transform, and load. It is an ETL tool in Microsoft Excel. So ETL, of course, will stand for extract, transform, and load. So we are going to use Power Query to transform our data into a suitable format for analysis. Then I'm going to A2 says here, clean and transform the given dataset using the tool identified in A1 above to a format that can allow you for answering questions in B below. The approach must be automated to allow for auto-refresh of the data model. Note, the resulting transformation should have the columns for planned, vendor, product, destination, and sales. So if we check our data here, we have these values. These values we were told here on the note here. We are told that the question 23 data, all values in shillings. So these ones are shillings, and then we have the destinations. We have shillings, and then we have destinations like a product like Orion. We have it local, then Orion export, Nova local, then Nova export, Titan local, then Titan exports, like that. So we are having the product and the destination combined together. So, and if you check in our question, we want to have columns. The reason why we want to have columns is because of part B. Part B talks about pivot tables. Then in our class on pivot tables, we had said that for pivot table to work, the titles must be on the top. So in our data here, if we look at it, we cannot get the sales column because the sales column is on rows. So in Power Query, you have what we call unpivot columns. So we will be selecting these two first columns, and then we say unpivot all other columns. So that way, the Power Query will create this data into a format that it will only have 3 columns. So first we are going to select the data. So if we are together, we select the data that way. So I've already selected all my data. That is the first step that you do. That way we select the data. After selecting the data, we are going to the data tab. So up here on data, tab, you can see where my cursor is. So I'll click on that data. Then on data, we have first we have get external data. Then next to that, on that next here, we have get and transform data. So we are going to get and transform data. Then we are going to pick from table. So we click from table. So after clicking from tables, there is a create table pop-up that will come up. Then it will tell you where is the data for your table. Okay, since I already selected the data, I don't reselect it again. Then you'll check if your table has headers. In this case, my table has headers. So I'll check that one. My table has headers like that. Then I click OK. So it will create that into a table that way. So my Excel is and then the Power Query will load on automatically. So we are waiting for it. Okay, I'm waiting. Okay, the Power Query has loaded. Now here we can see query settings. On this other side here, query settings, the name of the table that you will create, that is after transforming. And here where my cursor is, it shows the steps, the transformation steps that you have undertaken. So in our case, since this is just a revisional video, not a class video, in class we talked about the Power Query. So this one we want to change the columns. So what we are going to do, you can see column 1 having the plant is already selected. So I'll press Ctrl and I also click on this column 2 like that, so that I have plant and vendor selected. After selecting the two, then I'll go to transform. I click on transform. Then I come here to any column. You can see transform any column. Then on any column, I'm going to just follow my cursor. I'm going to click on this drop down here. I click on it like that. So number one, we have unpivot columns. So this one will unpivot all the columns. Then number two, we have unpivot other columns. So this one means that it will unpivot the other columns that have not been selected. The other columns that have not been selected. And then option 3, we have unpivot only selected columns. So because I don't want to unpivot selected columns, I'll be going with unpivot other columns, those ones that have not been selected. So I'll click on that and pivot other columns. So okay, so I'll go and pivot other columns like that. So you will see that here under applied steps, it has already been recorded and pivot other columns, the step I've just done. Now if I unpivot other columns, I'll remain with the 4 columns. You can see one, we have plant, vendor, attribute, then value. So we have already changed it like that. So that is how powerful the Power Query is. Now our data is looking this way, and no data is lost in that process. So the data is just still the same as it is on the other side, but we have just unpivoted other columns. Now with the other details, we also talked of text to columns. Also, the Power Query has the ability to do text to columns. So somewhere there you'll see split column. So I'll want now to split between the product and the destination. Then this is the value for sales. So I'll click on that column attribute where it has the 2 values, Orion and local. Then you can see the hyphen. So the hyphen means you are going to split it with a delimiter at the hyphen. So I'll click split columns there, split columns. By delimiter, you click split columns by delimiter. So of course, since I had already done this one, so you just change here, the hyphen is the minus sign. Then you can also click down here to advanced options. Number of columns, we are going to have only 2 columns, so change that one to 2 columns. Then you click OK. Click OK like that. So you can see now we have splitted between the two, that is the product and then the destination. So I'll rename the column titles. I just double click in, then I'm going to call this product. Then also I double click in, this one I'm going to call it destination. And then I'm also going to double click on that one, then I'm going to call it sales. So at this point, now our data can go in a pivot table. The pivot table will be able to read our data, because now you can see we said the pivot table must use column titles. We have planned, vendor, product, destination, and then sales. Now we have already transformed our data into a suitable format for analysis. So we will go here on file, we go here on file, up here on file, then we do what? We do close and load. We click on that one, close and load. Okay, it will create a new worksheet with that table. So the table is looking like that. At this point, I will not like to press anything. What I'll do, I'll go straight forward to insert, so that I am able to start answering the question. So I go directly to insert, then I click pivot table. So the reason, okay, let me see. Okay, my pivot table will not go in because you can see the column titles have not been selected. You can see the range of where my pivot table is. So I'll just recorrect it and make sure that it starts on everything like that. Control shift down arrow, so that if you check in, I've also, if you come up here, okay, the data was very wrong because it is like we transposed the other two. So I'll just try to move to the first page. Okay, it has already, it must select with the titles. This is what we needed: product, vendor, sorry, plant, vendor, product, destination, then sales. Now after I've done that, I'll come down here and I choose existing worksheet. Then I'll click inside here in location. Then I'll go back to click on question 23. Now I'll look for space in this question number 23, maybe somewhere here. Then I click OK. I'll close the query workbooks, so that I only have pivot table field list. Now if you check, we have already done this. So we are going to be, we have already done this. I'm coming back to the pivot table. We have already created that one, and it has created a new sheet. If you come to this sheet here, it is there: plant, vendor, product, destination, then sales. Destination, then sales. So, and maybe just before we go to B, I'll also take this time to just say, if you enroll with us, it is more or less like a guaranteed pass, because our training is exam oriented. Also, the past papers play a very big role in terms of just preparing for the exam. So consider joining us for you to pass BDA with the first attempt. Then we are going to be using the transformed loaded data from A above. Create in the same sheet pivot table analysis schedule for the following items. So we needed it in the same sheet. So also to see, using the pivot summary above from B, create in the same sheet. So there is no need for you to come back and create on question 23 the pivot, because the pivot is needed in the same sheet. So what I'll do, I'll just delete these ones here. I'll delete the pivot there. I delete it so that there is no pivot first. Then now I'll have to repeat the same. So here we have these 3 items. Let me copy them so that I don't have to be coming back again and again. So I'll copy the 3, Control C. Then I go to that sheet that I've been told, there where we have my pivot. Then I do, where I have my table, the transformed table. Then I just paste them, Control V. So I will select the whole table again. So I can click on this first one. Then I do Control Shift, right arrow key, Control Shift, down arrow key to select all of them like that. Then I go Insert, then Pivot Table, then Existing Worksheet, then Location. I'm going to just choose in this sheet because that is what we were told. So I click somewhere in this sheet, then I click OK. Now the first one is sales per product. I just come, I check product, then down here I check sales. So there we already have the pivot of sales per product. I'll do the 1000 separator. So, and that is it. Part A, sales per product, like that. And then I also, since I have to create another pivot, so what I'll do, I'll just copy this one here. I copy the pivot, then I do Control C to copy that pivot, then I paste it here, paste it next to it, Control V. After pasting, I'll just come in and edit these values. So I'm on this second one, that is the sales per vendor split into the local or export destination in columns. So again, I'll just remove these fields because it is a new pivot. I remove them first. Then I'm going sales per vendor. So I click vendor. So the vendor will go to the rows. You can see down here you have rows, values, and then columns. Then I click sales. After that, I've been told split either into either local or export destination in columns. So you can see here columns. I'm going to pick destination. I bring them to columns like that, so that we have our pivot looking that way. Our second pivot table, we are having it like that. Okay, there are 1000 separated. So we have export, local on columns, and then vendor, and then the sum of sales. Okay, then now after that, now I can go to 3, a cross-sectional pivot summary of total sales by vendor in rows, and then plant in column. So again, since we said if your data that you've selected is surrounded with a green dotted line, it will simply mean that the copy is still active on the clipboard. So what I'll do, I'll just paste it again down here, Control V. That is the original pivot I created. Then I uncheck these ones, I uncheck them, I uncheck everything. Then I can read the question. It says a cross-sectional pivot summary of total sales by vendor in rows. I check vendor, then I bring products to columns. Plant, not product. So I bring plant. You click on them and then you drag while holding on the mouse. I bring plant to columns. Then I check cells, so that I have here on rows, I have vendor. On columns I have plant, then here I have cells. Cross-sectional is like a comparison of it so that we can compare how we can compare the vendor, so alpha, and the various plants, maybe lambda and the various plants. So vendor compared to the plant, okay, like that. So that was the end of part B. Then if I go back to the question I'm going to see, then it says there, using the pivot summaries from B above, create in the same sheet charts stroke graphs for the following: a, a relevant proportional analysis for pivot table, then B, an appropriate comparative analysis for the pivot table in B2 above. So proportional pie chart, comparative, that is it can either be a clustered column or a clustered bar. So we already talked about this in our lesson on data visualization, the three types of visualization, whereby we have relationship, proportional, then comparative, and we also have the composition. So make sure to check out that class on it. I think it is under Introduction to Data Analytics, a theoretical one. So I'll copy the details so that I don't have to come back again. Control C. Then I go to my question 21. I paste them there. Control V. So the first one, a relevant proportional analysis for the pivot B1 above. So here is my pivot. I will select it this way. Then I go to insert. Then insert here. Then I go to pivot chart. So I was told proportional. So proportional is a proportion to, like how each part contributes to the whole. So in this case, I'm going to use a pie chart. I click on the pie chart there. You can always rename the pivot tables. So you just rename the pivot tables with the question there. So I'll just copy the question there, Control C. So the chart is very important. A chart title, so I just rename it like that. You can go ahead and also put in data labels. Data labels will be the values. I don't know if they are visible enough or there are very many. I'll try to spread it out very well so that it looks nice. Since the data is not looking well, then I just use the base values without data labels like that. The product is the key. Then I move my chart by doing Control X. Down here I place it there, Control V. Then I do part B, an appropriate comparative analysis of the pivot table in B2 above. So this one we are going to work with which one? We are going to work with the, I'll select only these two elements. The hashes don't mean anything. It simply means the value is big for the cell. You just double click in the column titles in between to spread out the columns. So I go again, I do insert, then I go pivot chart, click on it directly. Then this one I'm going to do clustered column. So clustered column, how is it? So that I'm able to compare between export and local sales. So comparison, whereby you are able to compare. That is why the clustered column will be used for comparison analysis. I'll do a chart title. You click on this plus icon, chart titles, sales per vendor. I just call it that, sales per vendor. You can even go ahead and do split either into local or export, but now I can just call it sales per vendor because export is here, local is here. So alpha, this is the export sales, then these are the local sales. Then I'm going to make it a little bit bigger enough, so don't work with a very small chart also, like that. Then I'll cut it, control X, the whole chart, control X. Then somewhere there I bring it in, control V. Now that was what was required there. You can see it doesn't take a very long time. So that is how you could have solved question 23. If you want more of this, you can visit our website. I'll leave the link in the description box. So it is https forward slash tinyurl forward slash bda lusenaka home, all in small letters. So for easy of it, just check in the description of this video. I will leave a link where to our website where you can access the files, and also you can access all the videos arranged in a good way whereby it can ease you in terms of revising. So that will be it for today. Till we meet again, have a good time.